Brilliant. Well, welcome everyone to our final session of the afternoon. I believe everyone is with us here. Yes, they are fantastic. I can see everyone here on the right-hand side. Loads of you, which is brilliant. I'd like to welcome our three fantastic panelists to close out today. We've got a really fantastic international flavour for this final. We've got Narelle, who is the general manager of Amal Maldives, live from the Maldives. We've got Ignatius, who's the president of TBIA, which, to get the acronym right, which is Thinking Outside the Box Engineering Applications, which I think is brilliant. And we'll talk about thinking outside the box a lot in a moment. And we've got Margaret from Visit Central Florida. Margaret's not in Florida today, but very much bringing the Floridian sunshine in spirit.
I thought it's the least I could do.
Which is fantastic, actually. I just, again, like our previous panelists, I thought it would be great if everyone could just maybe go around just for a minute or two and just kind of introduce themselves and their backgrounds and who they're representing and kind of why they're so passionate, really, when it comes to accessible travel. Perhaps, Narelle, you're in my top box there. Would you like to go first?
Sure, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for holding this seminar. I think it's really important that everybody's, getting a seat at the table and is able to talk about things that not only I think Richard said in the last one, we have to do, and he's absolutely right. But it's not just about seeing the joy that comes when people have any kind of, mobility or sensory disability, that they can enjoy a holiday in the Maldives or a trip to Florida, or not really sure what Ignatius does, but we'll find out in a minute. But I also think that it's great that more people are talking about it, because the amount of disabilities that people have, whether they're sensory or physical, is daunting. And for a lot of companies, and, we're a small organization here in the Maldives, but a lot of companies go, it's all too hard. And I think one of the things that we do at Amilla is we really try and personalize every guest stay. The team undergo diversity and sensitivity training to make sure that every guest we listen to. We have a guest here at the moment who has MND, and she said to me last night, I need the toilet seat bar thing that we have raised. And so while they were at dinner last night, we were able to do that. And she sent me a message and she went, you make me want to cry, because it was just, she kind of said it would be easier for her if we did that. But we're also tuned in and dialed into what does each and every guest need. That I think that's the key, personalization for every guest, because every single guest that is in a wheelchair has different abilities as well. Some people still have good upper body strength, some have paraplegic or quadriplegic. Everybody's different. So just finding out what guests need and trying to tap into their personal needs, I think, has been the most rewarding for us here at Amilla. And I'm Australian, if you didn't know, but I do live in the Maldives. For the last 20 years on and off working in the Maldives. So this is an exciting time for us. Coming to the Maldives, seaplanes, speedboats, all those kinds of things, incredibly daunting for a traveller with any sort of accessibility issues. So I think that everybody's talking about this now makes it, that bucket list trip maybe a little bit closer to home. So thank you for the opportunity.
No, it's brilliant to have you with us, Narelle. Thank you. And Ignatius, would you like to enlighten Narelle about your obviously coming to us live from Greece to speak about a fantastic program, which is C-Track, for anyone that doesn't know. Please, would you like to explain that to us?
It's my honor being with you. Thank you for the invitation. Like you, we live in very nice places that's in the bucket list for most people in the world. Seeing pictures from Maldives, Florida, I would like to say also Greece, and they want to visit. So great pictures that everyone would want to be there, but we face that, as most of us know, that there are people who cannot enjoy it as simple as the others. So we have to be innovative. We have to be creative. So from mechanical point of view, we face the problem of access to the sea for those who are facing mobility issues. And I can say 12 years ago, we found a solution in the University of Patras that we developed a device, a system, a product that is give the ability to those who are facing mobility issues, those who are in wheelchairs or the adults, to go to the seawater without any help. And that was the first of a kind, the first product ever that gave this ability. Moving forward, with CTRAC, which is the name of the product, it's a World Awarded patent. We're looking for the experience. And as most of you know, that you are the expert in leisure industry, we're just providing the right tools. We have to focus on the experience. And providing the great experience is the game changing point. So we work to have a perfect product for the vast majority of the end users. And with this device, we'd like to have also the right amenities, the right walkways. We heard before that we need a mobile mat or a walkway in the beach, a place to change your clothes, accessible showers, in order to have the right point of interest. And that was the changing point again. CTRAC has become a decision point for many people with mobility issues where they are about to book their hotels. As I said before, Richard, I totally agree that there are many hotel brands that cannot guarantee accessible rooms. So I can say, not only for hotel brands, I can say also many destinations cannot guarantee that you can find accessible beaches. And this is the point that we're coming. We provide the device, the solution, but also people trust us where they can find accessibility. People trust us where to check in our website and see the map and say that this is the point that they want to visit. And we're not tourist operators, but we are having many phone calls and many messages every year asking us where I can find an accessible hotel. I like this beach, I like this point, I want to be there. Where can I find the right amenity, right hotel, right restaurant, the what I can do in this destination. So I can say that CITRAC help destinations to attract more people and offer what people need in order to enjoy the sea waters. I am Ignatius Fotiu from Tobia, thinking out of post engineering applications, and I had the pleasure to be one of the inventors many years ago in the University of Patras. Thank you for
Fantastic, thank you. That's brilliant. And Sea-Track, if I'm right, is on around 300 beaches, isn't it? I think in Greece at the moment, and it's being used very widely there, which is great. And also, we've just posted in the chat for anyone interested to see how the product works. There's some great YouTube links there to get more of a sense of what of how it works on the beach. Brilliant, thank you, Margaret. We've heard obviously from Jill with the whole kind of Visit Florida piece, but Visit Central Florida there. How are you doing in terms of your developments, and what would you like to kind of really get across today to our audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jill, touched on the fact that Florida is very accessible, and the research they were doing showed that actually they were a lot further forward than we potentially thought. From my point of view, Visit Central Florida, I've just background. I've been working for too many, many years within the US and Florida specific. So I've kind of seen that evolve, and I now represent Visit Central Florida for the UK and Ireland. I'm based in the UK, and basically we're the county that sits between Tampa and Orlando. Just to give our viewers an idea of where we actually sit, so it's Polk County, but our tourist board is Visit Central Florida. So I'll do the intro, but I mean I can talk to you about some of the attractions in our area. And how these have adapted, which I don't know whether you want me to go on now or we'll take that a bit later.
Yeah, please do. Let's get into it. That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are, as I say, we're the fourth largest county, and we're very rural. I mean, actually, Florida is very rural, and of course, a lot of people associate Florida. It's the big theme parks, and it is. I used to work for one of the large ones as well many moons ago, and which is fantastic. And they deliver a fantastic service. But there is other things beyond the major theme parks. That said, we are actually home to the Legoland Resort in Florida, which is the largest Legoland. They have 3 hotels and a water park. And last year, just a few muddy puddles away from the gates of Legoland, the first ever Peppa Pig theme park opened. And during this process, both Legoland and Peppa applied for Autism Centre accreditation. So they went through a rigorous process, which included training all their staff so that they know how to understand the strategies for communication, the best practices for enhancing the guest experience. They've put for instance, at Peppa Pig theme park, there's a lovely ride, Peppa's balloon ride, and it's a balloon ride, and it's got little baskets. And these have been developed so that a person in a wheelchair can just roll in and be clipped in. They don't have to be transferred. All the attractions are being built for children of all abilities to access the height-wise. The muddy puddle splash pad, which I always confess to actually having splashed up and down myself in, which is great fun. You're never too old. But that's also been designed with wheelchairs in mind, and all the kind of water features at different heights for children. They've also got some fantastic, if our audience, if they need information, help planning their holidays with their clients, is that they've got some fantastic online tools. So you can go to the Legoland Resorts website and the Peppa Pig theme park website, and they've devised a sensory guide and an accessibility guide. The sensory guide will take, and also for Legoland, take you through every single attraction and take you through the 5 senses. And when you come to that attraction, it also has a panel and it shows you all the different sensory, gradings from 1 to 6. They've also, planned into that. They've got quiet areas, so if children are overwhelmed, they can go and they can take time out at both the parks, and they have quiet spaces, and also they have what's called the Hero Pass. So you can actually apply for this. You can go to guest services, and it will help for those that it might not just be a wheelchair person. It could be child with sensory needs that can't queue for a ride, so they can then kind of fast track into the attraction with a carer or parent. They're also service animals are allowed in the parks as well. So they really have a lot of things in place to cater for families with children and adults who have special needs. And I think that's important. I think Ignatius was saying that we want to be inclusive, and everybody wants to get a chance to come to Florida and come to all these fantastic attractions and enjoy them equally. So we've got that in place, but also we just have lots of great outdoor spaces in our county that offers a quieter, more relaxed from that kind of the hecticness of the kind of the main Orlando tourist area, which, as I say, is fantastic. And I've just talked to you about one of our actually oldest attractions, probably one of the first major attractions actually in Florida, and that's Bok Tower Gardens, and it's a beautiful, beautiful botanical garden. And I was going to say the accessibility is very good, but generally in Florida is because Florida is very, very flat. So our garden sit actually at the highest point in the state of Florida, but it's just like slight incline, no mountains and hills. And at the centerpiece is this beautiful Carillion tower. It plays bells by a keyboard, and they run. You can hear it every day. But all the paths are accessible to wheelchairs and to mobility scooters. And I think we're talking also about maybe our older visitors who might, also not be able to physically walk around, but also with the heat and stuff. We also have a little shuttle. They have a little shuttle that takes you up and takes you around the park as well. So again, being inclusive, you don't have to necessarily be, wheelchair bound. And also they also have autism certification, and they opened the year before last a lovely children's garden called Hammock Hollow. And again, it's taking away, if you want that calmer experience, into a natural play area that's shaded and cool, lots of water features. So that's definitely, if you're looking for, suggestions for clients going to Florida, I would put that, top of the list. And then just last touch on this, we also started this year, we had Bonnet Springs Park. This is a kind of repurposed piece of land that was kind of brown belt, and they've created this most beautiful garden 168 acre park. And again, a kind of great multi-generation experience. They've got restaurants there, they've got a track that goes around, and they've got a shuttle, and they've also got a special shuttle that takes wheelchairs and buggies as well, for parents with children in buggies. And at the heart of this, they've also got the new Florida's Children's Museum. And this building was actually specifically built to accommodate children with all, needs. And it's fully wheelchair accessible with wide open spaces. It's got lots of different interactive, fun things for the children to get involved with. It's probably up to the age of 12. They've got things like shades to control sunlight, predictive pathways so the children know where they are, sound dampening walls. And what I love about it is you can go onto their website and you can download, it's their story. And you can read this to your child before they actually go there, so they can really understand the process. When I get there, I'm going to stand in line, and then once I get there, I'm going on to here, and then it takes them the story of all the different things they're going to see and how that impacts them. And also they get a free sensory kit when they arrive if they need it. So they get earplugs, a noise reducing headphones, sunglasses, and a little fidget toy just to keep them busy. So as I say, we've got our theme parks. We've also got lots of wide open parks, and all very at the centre of being accessible to everyone.
That's fantastic. Thanks for that, Margaret. I bet that was such useful information for all of our agents and our travel partners listening to that. That was brilliant. I just wanted to ask just some sort of questions of some of our panelists, and I also remind anyone in the chat, if anyone's got any questions or any comments, please do drop them in. We've had some really nice comments so far for our panelists, and I'll put those to the guys. Narelle, I wanted to ask. I love there was a phrase on your website that says you're 100% committed to total guest inclusion. I know it was something that Richard mentioned as well. And again, it's the whole piece around not necessarily accessibility, but inclusion and having everyone there, regardless of any kind of barriers or constructs that we as a society sometimes create. And you also say that 100% of your front of house staff have that inclusion training. I know Monique on the previous panel mentioned staff training and how sometimes people are trained in certain areas and others fall down a little bit. How do you approach it, and what kind of approach do you take to really make sure everyone knows the kind of the nuances when it comes to accessibility needs, because not everyone's needs are the same, are they?
No, and I think that the biggest thing is the sensitivity training, because if you ask a guest in a wheelchair, can I help you? And they say no, because of course independence, and Monique, I'm sure you can say something about this too, independence for a lot of people is really super important. They don't want to be helped if they can do it themselves. So for the team, that sensitivity and learning that if you ask a guest if you can help them and they say no, that's okay. Just let me know if I need your help. And that's where the personalization comes in, because we've had just a couple of examples, a couple here, both of them in wheelchairs. He didn't want anybody to come anywhere near him. He wanted to just do it himself, and he had good upper body strength. These two were in their 70s, but she wanted help. So, there's sort of finding the balance between what guests want and what we think they want. I think for us too, Margaret mentioned before the social stories that particular theme park had. I've actually got two teenage boys on the spectrum of autism writing social stories from their perspective for us, because separate families, but both here in the last few months. And just through chatting with them, I asked them if they would like to help other kids coming with autism, if they would like to help by writing a social story. So those kinds of things, getting the guest involved in being part of the process. Every time somebody comes, we try and find out what more we could do and continue to adapt that. But if we can find out about the guest needs before they come, then it makes it a lot easier. I had a travel agent call me, and Richard, I know you're listening, so you know who I'm talking about. This travel agent called and said the youngest of 4 children was 5 years old and had dwarfism and couldn't walk very far, and obviously couldn't ride a bike. And riding a bike as a family around the resort is one of the pleasures of this place, because it's such a big island and it's so beautiful and lush. And so we talked to the team and we adapted a bike into a trishaw. And so little Hugo's big sister or dad or somebody was riding the trishaw, the whole family riding around the resort on their bikes. And he thought he was eating a bit on a stick on this wheelchair, this little on this chair on the back of his dad's bike, and a proper armchair, like he's sitting up there. We have, when we know that guests with autism are coming, we don't play the Bada Baroo. Normally on arrival, we make all this noise and play the local drums, and it's quite, can be quite triggering for a lot of people. So if we know somebody's coming, we have a very quiet arrival and a gentle experience, so that we can lean into that. One of the biggest things for me is that, a lot of people who don't have any disabilities, if you go to stay in a hotel room and you walk in and you go, oh, I got the short straw, I got the handicapped room. And one of the things that we try and do is make it not feel like this is the handicap room. So everything that we've done in the rooms that we've modified just feels normal. Like if you went into that room, you would not know that it was perfect for somebody in a wheelchair, or that it was perfect for somebody with who might need a walker or what have you. Rather than the handicap ramp going up to the guest loos in the restaurant area, we've built a fish. And it's a gentle slope up to the loos, and it's a talking point for everybody because it's obviously a big fish, and everybody goes, "Oh, isn't that amazing?" Kids love it, families love it. But then when we get talking to them about it, what I've said to them is the reason we built this is because we don't want people to go, "Oh, I have to go over to the side," or as Monique said before, around the back to the ramp to get to the loo because I'm in a chair. So now we're doing animals everywhere. So we've done the fish first. It was such a great success. So now we're doing manta and turtles and all sorts of things to all the areas that need accessibility, but it doesn't feel like it's the afterthought, if you like, and this guest that we have here at the moment with MND, she said we all cried yesterday because they were so overwhelmed by the fact that she said they felt like VIPs rather than second class citizens sort of thing for having any kind of disability. So I think that's what we try and do with the team. I know took a long time to answer a very short question.
Oh, no, don't worry.
But I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited to be able to share some of the things that just make people's day, and it's a joy to see people not feel like, oh damn, I'm handicapped, therefore I can't do this or I can't do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And please don't apologise. It was incredibly interesting and obviously very passionate about really making it as great a time for everyone. And your point about accessible rooms, I think, has really resonated here. Meg says that she loves it, loves what you're saying. And obviously, it's so frustrating when accessible rooms are in the worst locations, or there's awful views, or it's kind of really almost rams it home that you are in a room that has particular needs. I wanted to bring Ignatius into this conversation. Actually, I know you mentioned about Hugo, the guest, with his special bike as well, and I know that with Sea-Track being able to see the social impact that it has on people visiting beaches as well, and to really open up some of those areas. And are the beaches are they all easy to get to? Are some quite difficult to reach otherwise? And are they essentially beaches and places where people who do use wheelchairs wouldn't at all be able to use without your technology?
I love what Norel said. We don't have to make people with some kind of mobility or disabilities to feel different or second class citizen. So, what type of beaches? Every type of beach. We have beaches that they are near to the city, so you can go there with a tram or the metro. We have beaches that they are in small islands in the middle of nowhere. There are beaches for very crowded, popular, well, beaches in Mykonos or Santorini. thousands of people there every day there. But also we have beaches in small islands like Tilos, where we have also some fanatic visitors from Sweden there. They, every year they call us and ask us 6 months before the summer, okay, when we will install this because we want to book our holidays for the next season. Yes, we have a solution for everyone, for every taste. And this is, I think, the critical, critical point because having people feeling as a second class of citizen. Sorry, it's not right, but I think it's very, very nice description. So copy it, Norel. Um, and having given the ability to enjoy the sea as everyone, then it's a nice place for people to meet each other. People with disabilities can be with everyone else in a fun place. And a beach is a fun place, and easy to reach and easy going. It's normally with no fees and it's something not so expensive, open to everyone. So everyone can be there, and people with disabilities can socialize, be more extrovert, and having a summer like everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people sometimes take for granted, don't they, things that people can just do, people without certain needs that others necessarily might not be able to. And just out of interest as well, I know obviously the technology is currently used in beaches in Greece. Is there any plans to expand that to other countries or to work with different hotels or companies? Not to give away too much of your secrets, but is there anything you can tell us?
No, I apologize. I forget about it. Yes, it started from Greece, and now we have in Italy, Cyprus, Latvia, Lithuania, and we have a new partner in UK. So hopefully next year we'll have a few sea tracks in UK, and planning to have them a demo there really soon. There will be six of them probably in the area of Arab Emirates during the next months. And Margaret, we are looking forward to have the first SITRAC in Florida. Our partner there works on this project, and hopefully, with no, all your wonderful amenities and the wonderful job you have done, hopefully SITRAC will be also a small part of
Yeah,
your things.
absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, it sounds like C Track is well and truly going global, which is what we like to hear, which is great. I wanted to ask and go around sort of 10 minutes left or so for conversation. Perhaps Margaret, one for you maybe. Obviously, I think I mentioned to Jill around travel agents looking to start planning a trip to Florida necessarily, perhaps not necessarily just Florida specific, but what kind of advice would you give to agents really who are thinking of kind of sitting down with their clients and starting to plan a trip like this? Is there particular questions they should ask around accessibility? Is there particular, perhaps, I don't know, pitfalls that maybe they should avoid? Or I know there's a big thing about not getting it wrong, but what's your advice to them really when it comes to
I
advice?
think I think the question is ask the questions, and I think to Narelle's point, everybody's different, and I mean it seems like a no-brainer, but it's just taking that time to think. Okay, so you know what, find out about the family, find out about not everybody's needs, not just the person that might need a little extra help, because that's important because it's everybody's holiday. And then having a look and also get engaged with. I mean, I'm talking to people who know what they're doing, but today, but is getting that knowledge and then also giving them the tools to say, right, well, this is, if you're wanting to go to Legoland, for instance, these are lots of tools online. Go away and have a read at that and let us know, because you can actually, to Narelle's point, is that actually the planning for people arriving at your destination. And there's lots of planning tools and lots of ways to get in contact with not just Legoland and Peppa, but all other attractions or boat cruises, and contacting them well in advance of your arrival and saying these are our specific needs. And I think it's listening. It's a two-way thing. It's planning it together.
Mm. Yeah,
I think that's the key thing.
absolutely. I imagine, Narelle, would you like to jump in on that as well? What kind of forward planning would you suggest that agents do with their clients? Like I love what Margaret said. The question is asking the questions sometimes, isn't it?
Certainly asking the question, but also to it's kind of, you know, somebody I think in the first group before said something about sometimes you have to ask invasive questions. I think it was Lynn.
Mm.
We try not to do that. We just send a very simple questionnaire and say, is there anything else you would like to tell us? And as much as they tell us, obviously, then we can plan that. But we don't want, I mean, we want guests to have, you know, we're looking for the harmony between a luxury holiday and inclusivity. We're not, you know, like having to uh, there's no sort of government regulation that says that you have to have in the Maldives you have to have this many accessible rooms and you have to have this many accessible toilets and all that sort of thing. So we're just trying to give people who want to come to the Maldives an experience that is stress free, not daunting. All those things that I'm sure that anybody who's on this call that's got a friend or a family member or they themselves have any kind of disability, sensory or mobility wise, it's daunting going, oh my God, how do I get to the airport? How do I get on the seaplane? How do I get on the speedboat? So we're talking now with the seaplane company because we have a sling that we use for people who need help to, and we carry them on because you can't get a wheelchair open and up into the seaplane. It's doable, and every guest that comes, once they get here, they go, oh, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's daunting, the thought of it. So just helping people be assured that there's genuine care all along the way, and there are more and more things like what Ignatius is doing, and I do know what sea trackers. I didn't know what Tobia was, so now, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like everybody, there's a Canadian seaplane company who's got this fantastic device, and if they would answer my email, our seaplane company that we use would have one already because I saw this and I thought, oh my God, that's perfect. That is just what the seaplanes companies need to get somebody from their chair straight up rather than being carried, because that can be a little bit intimate, if you're sort of three guys are carrying somebody onto a seaplane. So, but it's just finding out how much and how little guests are willing to share, and trying to, like, the chair thing on the back of the bike for that little guy Hugo. I was so proud of the team. Like, I just gave them and I said, look, this is the problem, what can we do? And they came back with this, and the engineers worked on it and just blew me away, because we have those manual chairs with the big fat wheels that you can ride on the beach and go into the water with, and we have the pool chair, the pool lift that puts people into the pool and those sorts of things. But it's just what do you want? All those things are there, but what is it that you personally want? And I think that's really important. To ask the questions, like Margaret said, like everybody said, ask the expert. That's the traveller.
Mm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, definitely. Well said. I was just wondering if anyone in the chat, any of the audience, have any more questions. And we did have one just from I think it was Karen here, who was just asking, perhaps one maybe for Margaret or Narelle. She was just asking in terms of Floridor or Amila of deaf guests, if there are any particular services or service that you provide for people who are deaf at all. Is there anything that you do there, or?
I think
Margaret, you go first.
If you're looking at the kind of the major theme parks, and I was telling you about Pepper, they will be included, and that's a very, very good point, because we've touched on kind of sensory and mobility, but that's a good point. But yes, they're covered as well. And I think just the point I said before is that get in touch with these places, and to your point, Narelle, is that we can adapt. It's not just one shoe fits all, or everybody's catered for it, but you just have to reach out to the hotels, to the attractions, and speak to them, and they can come up with solutions like you've done, Narelle.
Thank you. One of the things that we do for deaf people, we don't have anybody on property that can sign, but normally people don't come to the Maldives on their own, so they're coming with somebody, a family member or a friend or a carer that can actually sign for them. But if they're in the room, we have lights so if somebody rings the doorbell, there's a light rather than if you can't hear the doorbell ring, you don't know there's somebody at the door. So we have lights for that. But we do find, as I said before, we have some soft stuff for visually impaired and hearing impaired, but usually those people are with somebody that is doing all that for them, as a carer.
Mm. Thank you very much for answering that question. I just wanted to, perhaps only got a few minutes left, but talk about in terms of destinations really as well, like the investment that comes into it. I know Ignatius, perhaps you could speak on this one here around. Are you finding it easier these days to get C-Track and to get your product? We said speaking destinations. I know there's multiple countries now and areas that want to use it. Has there been a bit of a sort of, pardon the pun, a bit of a sea change, a bit of a shift? A shifting kind of attitudes of late towards places becoming more inclusive and more accessible? What have you found when you've been almost kind of pitching the product to different countries and different companies?
Working on this sector for 14 years, I have seen big changes, especially in our case when we start pitching about C-Track and no one knows about the device. No one ever believed that such a solution can exist. So at the very beginning was a little difficult. But now, after those years and having more than 250 devices and almost 300,000 uses all this time, and I used to say 300,000 smiles on the beach, so it's more easier. A lot of people around the world know about C-Track. WordPress every year makes some articles about C-Track and how it changed the life of people with mobility issues. So now it's much easier, and it helps us to open new markets. Still, there are some consideration about making investment in a bit, especially in countries with a huge bureaucracy. I know, have experience where it takes a lot of time in order politicians make their decision and bring the C-Track there. But I believe it's something that in a few years, every beach will have a C-Track there for helping people to go to the seawater. And then for people with visual impairments, we design a new solution in order to guide them and help them to find the belongings on the beach, the amenities that they are looking for, and of course to take care and move in a secure paths to the beach. So innovation never stops. We
Yeah,
have more problems to solve, and happily to be part of this.
fantastic. That's incredibly interesting. At which stage of the development is the technology for the visually impaired people?
Give us a couple of years, and I
Ah,
think we'll have a new surprise for you.
oh, great! That's good to hear. Perhaps, yeah, if in a few years' time you can come back on and tell us about that, which is really interesting. And Margaret as well, to the point about that investment and how destinations are really kind of ramping this up and really putting real focus on it. I know Jill mentioned that Florida more widely is looking to become. I think she used the phrase the most inclusive or accessible state in the US. And obviously, Visit Central Florida is a big part of that. Have you seen a change in recent years towards the amount of investment and resource put behind accessible travel in the state?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it kind of evolved. I mean, especially the area I'm involved with. It's when I started out 20 years ago, it was a once in a lifetime holiday to have, and I think there were lots of barriers there for people that didn't think they could go because there wasn't that kind of accessibility. So there's definitely been a huge move towards it, and I think just even looking, I mean, that the changes that Pepper and Legoland have done just with the opening and the whole kind of planning, and I think that's where it's coming in, is the plan when these places are planning new attractions and other attractions are introducing them, but it's kind of integral part of, as a tourism destination, to consider these things. It has to be part of the infrastructure.
Mm. Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
it just has to be the norm that,
Mm.
that we provide for everyone.
Yeah, and that definitely does feel as if things are changing. It's not just specific specialisms for certain people. It's kind of creating the whole thing. And perhaps perhaps the final word for you, Narelle. Where would you say? I know you've done so much, and as a resort yourself, as you are, you've done so much and thinking outside the box, and you've done some really, really interesting stuff. What would you say to a destination or a company or a hotel? Sorry, I know there's a lot of different areas there, but who are just starting to think we really need to ramp up our focus on this, and we need to innovate, we need to improve. I know obviously there's a long journey to be had in the work that you've done, but what kind of advice or encouragement would you give on that front, do you think?
One of the things that I always say, because sometimes the team do something and they think they're doing the right thing, and I'm like, go and get the wheelchair and see if you can get up that ramp, or so I think it's trial and error. I think it's start somewhere. It is, if you want to sort of say, okay, there's this huge range of physical disabilities, hidden disabilities, it's daunting for anybody who's going to start. But the only place to start is at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? So just think about, walk around your business, your office, your resort, your airport, whatever it is, and just think, or take a chair around and think, okay, first of all, accessibility. Most people, when they're coming on a luxury holiday, like coming to the Maldives, as I said earlier, they come with family and friends. So there's that support there. But some other, like tourist attractions, maybe they're not going with such a support sort of team. So I think it's different for everybody. But yeah, just start. It's so rewarding. I honestly cry a lot when we are able to have these people leave and go, oh my God, best holiday for our family. The parents aren't stressed because we've done something to look after the family. But also too, what I see is within the team, with this diversity and sensitivity training that we're doing with the team, I feel that they've become a closer knit team, and they're sort of more aware of each other and even a little bit more considerate of each other. You said some statistics at the beginning, Tom, but I read somewhere that 18% of adults in the UK have a non-diagnosed neurodiverse condition. And I think I said this to one of you the other day. So all those people that we thought were badly behaved, maybe we just need to be more patient and kind and considerate and understanding of people, And I think that I've seen our team, with the work that we've been doing, change for the better in that way. So I love that.
Yeah, I think what a lovely place to end then. Noel, thank you for that. And I guess more empathy and more understanding, kind of just creates a better world, doesn't it? And a better travel industry, really. And that you said that the benefit towards your guests and your team as well for doing this stuff can't be underestimated, which I think is brilliant. Well, thank you very much to the three of you. Yeah, to Narelle, Margaret, and Ignatius. So we had a really interesting conversation there, and that just about brings us to the end of our TTG Accessibility Seminar. I wanted to thank everyone, our speakers, and our audience for attending today. I hope you've enjoyed today's sessions and found the discussion really encouraging and useful and insightful. We really hope that's the case. I just wanted to remind you all that all of today's sessions will be hosted on the TTG website shortly, so you can always rewatch if there's any information you wanted to catch up on there. And we look forward to seeing you at another TTG virtual event soon. So thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it, and hope you've enjoyed today. Thank you, everyone. Thanks very much.